Hey, Katie.
Hey, Jake.
Welcome back to another episode of By Its Cover.
Oh, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad that I'm here in your recording studio.
Every time that we intro, we say the same thing.
Are you tired of it, listener?
Yes.
Or is it comforting like a warm blanket?
No, we should change it. We should say something more along the lines of, go away, don't listen to this. Why are you listening to this? Never mind, stay. By Its Cover.
I think we've done that already.
Have we? Okay, hang on.
Yes.
We should insult them. Y'all are dumb.
You've done that.
Oh, dang it. We should compliment them.
You are looking so lovely today.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
I really love your hat.
Are we
Not
complimenting
yours.
each Oh. I'm wearing a hat.
I mean, I also like your hat, Jacob Frederick.
It's a nice hat.
Since you're listening.
I wanted to address something.
Oh.
Yeah. Down in the comment section, somebody was like, hey, how could you two be siblings when you have different last names? And I think that it's, listener, simply none of your business.
Where did you see that?
It wasn't. It doesn't exist. It was a bit.
Thank you for putting that out there and resolving it so simply.
Very simple.
I think my energy level's up now.
None of your business. You have a hole in the bottom of your sock.
I always do.
Okay.
Well,
get
okay.
new socks.
I do have new socks. I just
Are
can't
those
get
the
rid of
hipster socks where like the bottom's already cut out, like the jeans?
No. Oh, no. No, and you're like the second or third person this week to tell me that I have holes in my socks.
You got diamonds on the soles of your shoes.
Yeah, these socks have had holes in them for quite some time. And I bought new ones just like them because I love these socks so much, but it still doesn't emotionally allow me to throw the old ones away because they still work.
You know how to solve this problem? There's a company that sells socks with an unlimited lifetime warranty. And I wear them, and when they get holes in them, I exchange them for new ones for free.
Do you want to plug that company or just tell me later?
No, they can sponsor us. You know who you are.
This is a really bold, wonderful start to an episode.
Well, listeners, it's
So
been a while.
far, we've welcomed our listeners, complimented our listeners, insulted our
them.
listeners,
Yep.
told them to go away,
Yep.
begged them to stay.
We quelled some beef
Around
our last names.
Productive.
Yeah, we talked about socks.
Super productive. On topic.
Well, it's been, like 3 weeks since we've gotten together, right?
Well, for you, listener, it's been no time at all. Hey, Jake.
What's up?
Welcome back to By Its Cover. I almost said staying connected. Hey, Jake.
What's staying connected?
My other show.
You want to plug it?
Damn it. No.
Are we restarting?
I think so.
But there's so much content here.
I know. I'll probably use some of it.
Okay, so
I just want to make sure that we have a solid,
start.
yeah, in there somewhere.
How do
that
we
I can
start
add
it?
to. I don't know.
Meditate with me, listeners. Open your mind. Open the cover of A Complex Coast.
That was beautiful. I love that. That was so good. So today, listeners, we're talking about a book called A Complex Coast by David Norwell.
Narwhal.
Nor-
Narwhal.
Nope, I almost wrote that on my notes, but I did not.
What time does the narwhal bacon? Midnight.
Narwhal bacon. What time does
Internet
the narwhal
veterans will know.
bacon?
What time does the narwhal bacon?
I don't understand.
Midnight.
What time?
That's one of those things that when you say it on the internet, people know that you're elite.
Oh. I'm apparently not elite.
No,
I'm
elite.
Leet?
Yep.
Leet.
Yep.
Leet.
Yep. 1337. Leet.
Moving on. Hey, Jake, you want to guess what this book is about?
Whales.
And what makes you think that? Do you want to describe the cover?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the, imagine you tell your 5-year-old to draw a bunch of random objects related to the ocean, and that's the cover of this book.
I think that it's...
You're a very talented 5-year-old.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, maybe they're 6. I could not draw that. But I'm 12.
Previously in another episode, we established you were 22.
12. I'm 12 now.
Okay. Yeah, this is like a beautiful watercolor art. I loved it.
Katie's offended.
I don't want to return it back to the library, honestly.
Hey, let's do the thing about, again, where I tell you what's on the cover. You're clearly offended. I saw you wanted to hug the book. Like you were offended for the book.
It's okay, book.
Yeah, it's okay, book.
Okay, book.
Well, to be fair, it's like 10 feet from me. And I'm wearing my contacts, so I can't actually see anything. It's all an attractive blur.
Oh my God. Okay, so this book is A Complex Coast by David Norwell, as previously established, and it's subtitled A Kayak Journey from Vancouver Island to Alaska.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Vancouver Island?
Yeah, it's like right here. Victoria.
Yeah, that's where we're recording right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
So close to that.
Super.
But not quite there.
Yeah, we're near the Strait of Gibraltar. Gibraltar.
Do you want to make up a story about this book?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
All right.
I'm going to guess that this book is about a kayak journey from Vancouver Island to Alaska, where
Ding, ding, ding.
David Norwell sees a bunch of animals and nature and stuff and sleeps in a sleeping bag and has a kayak, takes books with him like Dune, and plays the banjo.
All right. Spot on. I don't know if you know this, but I always wanted to do a multi-day kayak journey in a kayak when I lived in Florida, and I kayaked a lot. It was like this pipe dream that I had of like packing a tent and all this stuff. Like I didn't really feel like I wanted to backpack because the backpack's pretty heavy and I can't really do that. But loading all my stuff into my kayak and going for a several day kayak trip has always been really, really enticing to me. So I was walking through the library and I saw this book, which is beautifully illustrated and watercolors and nature-y, and it's a kayak journey from close to where I live now to Alaska, and I was like, I want to read this. So that's why I picked it.
Did you get what you were seeking?
Yes and no. So I really, really enjoyed the art in this book, and I took a long time to read it because became mostly in it for the art, to be honest. It's written kind of journal style. So David packs up his stuff. He does bring 30 pounds of books with him in his kayak.
Why?
So he could read.
When was this written?
So I don't know when it was published, but the kayak journey went from like 2014. He did this over 2 summers between 2014 and like the end of 2015, I think.
Did he restart halfway through? Like the next summer he started where he ended?
Yeah, he took like a year off when he started dating his friend Kaya. So I think that summer, like it all is just a seamless part of the book where it's like the journal stopped. He started dating her, and then, it's just like, I've been dating Kaya, and it's been a year since the last entry. So he finished college during that time, I think. It was cool. I really liked the journal style. I mean, it was just very much like he packed his watercolors and what he needed to eat, and I guess he had some like it seemed to me like a very good understanding of what he could and couldn't eat on his journey. Like he learned how to fish, but he was also really, really knowledgeable on the plant life and the types of seaweed and the different like mollusks and stuff that he could eat. And so he did a lot of that along his journey. And then he also brought 30 pounds of books.
This sounds like a foraging road trip.
Yeah.
You're going to go on a really long road trip, so you bring stuff to entertain yourself with?
Yeah. Because he would kayak for a few hours a day, sometimes less depending on like what the weather conditions were like and stuff. And he wanted to make sure he had stuff to do around the campfire and everything. So he would read or draw. And there's a lot of cool little drawings in there of things that he saw. The way that he documented his experiences, like with watercolor, inspired me to do like a 30-day sketchbook of things around me. So I've started doing this, like, you know, I recently got the eye doctor waiting room in, and I've got like Cooper waiting at the door, like silly things like that. But it inspired me to do stuff like that because I thought it was really fascinating.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is this book the epitome of it's about the journey?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You could say that.
Because 2 to 3 hours a day of kayaking is not Olympic swimmer, Olympic kayaker style pace, right? This is a dude chilling, enjoying nature.
Yeah. Yep. Some of it was really hard kayaking, though, I think. And he did flip a few times. There was one day where I think he flipped 4 times.
On purpose?
No.
Because the water was rough?
Yep. Yeah. And there were different areas. I mean, I think what he did was actually very dangerous to do on his own. Like, very, very dangerous to do on his own. The water out here is cold enough to kill you. So you have to know how to, like, flip your kayak if you flip over. And I've never learned how to do that because I've never kayaked in that type of kayak that's got the skirt and everything. Mm-hmm. When you do Florida kayaking, it's a little bit more open.
Right. Even the ones you sit on top.
Right. Yeah. Yep. There was some really cool stuff, though, that I wrote down. So it was about the journey. It started off like he was kind of questioning. He's in his early 20s, I think, and he's kind of questioning, like, society and why we do things that we do, and very kind of, like, Into the Wild vibes. Did you ever read that book or see the movie?
Was that the one where the guy died in the school bus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it started off, like, kind of very much like you imagine that he's maybe in a similar headspace to that guy. And he wants to take some time of solitude and just being in nature and thinking about what he wants in life and thinking about life in general. And he obviously also has this major crush on his friend. And he's just got a lot on his mind, and so he wants to do this trip. And as it goes on, there's little things, like there's some entries in the diary that are very like, this is what the weather was like today, and this is how far I kayaked, and that's it. Like, this is where I stopped.
Like Captain's Log style?
Right. It's very like Captain's Log style. And then there's interludes of things about different kinds of like nudibranch. I think that's how you say it. Nudibranch?
Nudibranch?
Yeah, nudibranch. That's how it's spelled. Or nudibranch, maybe. I don't know how. They're like these, the shellless snails under the water.
Oh, okay.
And there's all sorts of different kinds of them. But he's got like drawings of a few different species that you might find in tide pools and stuff. And he's got drawings of starfish and little biological explanations of that. There was one time that he went and he spent the day observing the otters. Like things like that. So it's kind of like Captain's Log mixed with his own observations of the world around him, mixed with his thoughts, and some interactions with people that he had.
That sounds like a really nice trip.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it really was. And he wanted to go further, but he had to get real with himself at the end because it was really time to go home, and it was a dangerous, like he could have continued. I think it was like down into where the glaciers were. But the time of year was very, very risky to continue on.
What time of year was it?
I think it was at the end of the year. Either the glaciers were going to melt or the glaciers were going to freeze. I don't remember which one. If you hand me the book, I'll find out for you.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Tell me what else you want me to know about this book.
So there was on page 111, if you open your textbook.
Okay. Yes, teacher. I'm almost there. I can't read. Oh my God, what does that say? Stupid contacts. Okay, hang on. It's 112, 111. Oh, okay, I'm on page 111.
Okay, you see all the nudibranches? Oh,
nudie branch.
Yeah. So the the one that was my favorite that I wrote down was the shagrug nudibranch. I think the scientific name is...
I found it.
Aeolidia papilosa, maybe?
Aeolidia papilosa.
Yeah, so that was super cool. I didn't know that this... Apparently the nudibranches do a lot of really cool things. So some of them actually photosynthesize. But this one, the shagrug nudibranch, hunts sea anemones and grabs the stingers and attaches it to its body as like a weapon. Or
So
a defense
this creature
mechanism.
is amazing.
Yeah.
It photosynthesizes.
Uh-huh.
And it steals weapons
Yeah.
from clownfish.
Yeah.
Where was this in Finding Nemo?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was cool. Like, it was super, super cool. There was an experience he had where he had a run-in with a humpback whale.
Oh.
In one of the straits, Clarence Strait. I don't remember where that is. But there's even like a cool not cartoon, like a comic almost style where it's like this happened and then this happened and then this happened. And so you see him in the kayak and then you see the whale breach and then he's like already on a path in his kayak and then the whale is like nowhere to be found and then the whale comes up like right next to him and he can smell its breath. Like the whale is that close that he can smell the whale's breath from its blowhole.
Fishy breath?
Yeah. It was so cool. And I just I liked that his kayak was named Bell Pepper.
Oh, that's cute. Because it's yellow.
Yeah,
Aww.
It was cute. But one of the most impactful stories in this, and there was an overall, he left as a young 20-year-old something and wanted to get some life perspective. And he, along this trip, is seeing very interesting things in the world, in that part of the world. And one of the most, and I don't think this will be surprising to anybody who listens to this podcast, I'm a big nature person and definitely an environmentalist. And he encountered the most interesting thing, and there's some of his thoughts were really profound, I thought, around how we interact with the planet and the interpretation of wild spaces versus spaces that are stewarded already have already been what's the past tense of steward?
Stewart.
No, that's our podcast, hamster.
What are you trying to say?
One of the places that he ended up staying at was Lilu Island, and I believe it's still in Canada, but it is traditionally and currently in the name or title of the Lax Kw'alaams First Nation. So this island that he went to is essentially inhabited and, for lack of a better word, owned by that people. Those indigenous people, yeah. And he had to explain why he was there and prove his identity and stuff in order to get on the island.
Cool.
Because there was a big banding together of the tribe members to prevent a natural gas plant from going in on that site. So there was a proposed liquid natural gas LNG plant that would extract natural gas via fracking, which is where you inject liquid high pressure into the ground to get the natural gas out. And in order to do that, they would have to destroy this beautiful estuary, which was the place in which salmon would grow up every year. And that specific, I wrote it down, it's the Skeena River. And that river and that estuary supports food security for 3 indigenous tribes and 17 communities, all up the river. And where they wanted to, he has a map in there of where they wanted to put the natural gas plant, and they would be dredging the entire estuary so the salmon wouldn't have a place to hatch anymore, and that whole area would be at risk. And what was so cool is that, it was a proposed plant, right? It's not even, those people own that land. I don't understand how the natural gas plant could have come in and just said, we're going to build this here. and that's like my lack of understanding.
It's called eminent domain.
It is called eminent domain, yeah. So they all banded together to prevent the surveyors from even coming onto the island to see if they could build it there.
Great.
And I loved that. I thought it was really, really cool. And I thought that story was a really good example of how he spent the time to observe the world around him. Like, and I do this. I go hiking or something, and I'm hiking. I'm not stopping to look at everything. I'm not taking in the world around me as much as I am hiking. And that's because I like exercise when I can do it. And this was really, I like that he spent the time to do that. He's documenting the nature around him. He's documenting the communities around him. He met a guy named Kayak Kelly who had been living in Alaska out of his kayak for 10 years. He overwinters there.
10 years?
Yes.
What's the name of his kayak?
Oh, I didn't write it down, but he had a name of his kayak. Did I write it down? I didn't write it down, but it's in there. He wrote it down. He took the time to write it in the book.
Wow.
Right. So, like, I mean, there was just so much cool stuff like that in this book that made me want to document things in my life that I don't do enough of looking at. So, after I finished this book, I went on that weekend, I went and bought, like, watercolor sketchbooks, and I went on a little, very short, like, nature walk hike. But I painted on the trail for the first time ever. And it was a really cool experience. Like, I got to listen to the bullfrogs and see the birds and just, like, experience it more. And I really loved that about this book. So I feel like he grew a little bit by doing this experience.
Probably grew in ways that we haven't. Or that, I guess, when he's reflecting on society, that society hasn't.
Right.
Taking the time to observe, being present, enjoying the moment, type of stuff that, you know, you find on every other podcast but this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the things I didn't like about this book is that the takeaways, like, I felt like there wasn't a lot of reflection at the end.
For himself?
Written down. Like, I got the sense that he had a lot of reflection, but that he didn't write enough of it. Like, that there was more to be said or thought about. And I would have enjoyed, like, a longer chapter or something at the end.
But was this book about this book doesn't seem to have a singular focus. It's a guy takes his kayak to Alaska and by the seat of his pants documents what he feels like documenting in watercolors, what he feels like watercoloring, takes the time to absorb his surroundings.
Yeah.
So was reflection a theme in the book, or is a reflection a theme you want to see in the book?
It's what I want to see in the book. Like, because there was a little bit of reflection here, a little bit of reflection there. There's a lot of observation about, like, he talks a lot about the land being stewarded by indigenous people before colonialism and kind of the explorer mindset of colonialism.
Conquer.
Yeah. What is the word I'm looking for?
Conquer.
Settlers.
Colonize.
Colonizing, yeah. And, you know, I think that one of the observations he had was that the world was not so much wild as it was taken care of already. Like, places that he might have perceived as wild places were not actually wild. Like, even at this salmon, like at this estuary, there are people there who are making sure that the estuary is operating, you know, in a sense, operating the way it's supposed to. Right. They're taking care of it by letting it be the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And that was a really interesting observation. So there were little observations and reflections like that. There were little reflections about his own fears and about what he wanted in life and about the environment and climate change and all sorts of stuff like that. But none of it was, I wouldn't say none of it, it just wasn't very... I feel like you go on a trip like that and you have to have time to reflect on it afterwards, and that you should include that in the book.
It could be not an emotional journey he wanted to document.
Yeah, it could have been. But he did write some takeaways at the end, and so I wrote a quote down that I found was meaningful. Okay. Quote, "This adventure taught me the value of solitude, the intricacy of the human mind, and the time scale we walk. It also showed me I am vulnerable, emotional, and prone to poor decision making. Everyone is. And if we do nothing in return for the things we care about, they tend to disappear."
It's true.
It's very true. And I thought that was October of 2016 when he wrote that. So, and there was an afterword or an appendix, and the natural gas plant in 2017 was abandoned.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What about 2025?
I don't know. There's not a 8th edition or something. I don't know. I just really, yeah. I was touched by this book.
It inspired you?
Yeah, it did.
What was your favorite part about it?
The drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, the art. The art was really, really just, I really liked the art. I liked the sciencey bits. I liked the art a lot. I liked the combination of adventure / science / art / education. It was a really cool combo.
Yeah, definitely. And listeners, if you haven't seen this book yet, every page has art on it.
Every single one.
Yeah. It looks like when he describes an environment, he draws it.
Yep.
Or when he describes a nudie, he draws it.
As a nudibranch.
A nudie branch.
He calls them nudies.
Yeah.
It's cute.
He's got lots of pictures of nudies in there.
Mm-hmm. He even has pictures of what he ate in there. Like there's like a special stew or something that's really easy to make while you're out kayaking, and it's the certain type. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, when we went to Port Angeles a few years ago, and there was that, actually I think we were in Victoria, and there was that big like bulbous kelp or seaweed that had washed on the beach.
Yeah, they contain fresh water.
Yeah. So
you can eat them.
And those are all edible, and so he does, make a habit of eating those, and he combines them with all sorts of other things that he finds, and I think he brings dried lentils or something with him so that he just puts whatever he has into this stew, and he drew it. And it was cool.
I wonder what those taste like.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had tried it before. But
I mean, it's all over the sound. We can go get some.
Right, we can go get some.
Next episode, we'll tell you how it is.
I guess that's another thing I really liked about this book, is that it was eye-opening, like how disconnected we can be from our environment to where we don't know what we can eat and what we can't.
Yep. Prepackaged foods.
Right.
Safe foods. You go to the grocery store, you buy the same thing every week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I've been trying to change about, like, my lifestyle in general is eating more things that are in season and stuff, and being, I have an edible garden outside that I'm trying to nurture and be good about figuring out seasonal things for myself. But I was even afraid to start eating things out of my garden, because what if I did something that made it kill me? Yeah. It's like that level of, that's a problem, that we've lost touch with how we get our food and what's edible. And I just found it really, really cool that he knew what was edible.
How did he know that?
So he did some kind of, like, I don't think it was a survival camp, but it was some kind of, like, survival camp.
He went to camp.
He went to camp. Yeah, at the very beginning of the book, he's going to, like, a week-long training or something like that, and he kayaks there to get there. Maybe it's a month-long. It made me want to do stuff like that and get a better understanding, especially because, we've transplanted from Florida. So even if I did have an understanding of what I could eat in Florida, which I didn't really have too much of an understanding of that, it doesn't translate to here very well. So it'd be cool to take that kind of class and understand what's edible and not end up dead on a bus from eating the wrong kind of berries or something.
I mean, in that guy's defense, they were very close to each other.
They were so close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not his, I wouldn't say it's his fault. It's just, he was doing it by a book. and not like years and years of understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the sad part, though, about where we are with food, which is slightly off topic. I think the sad part about where we are with food, though, is we can't eat by foraging. There's not enough.
Right.
And we can buy foods that are foraged, or we could go forage ourselves and spend time.
Right.
But it's exceptionally expensive because of the limited quantity. So we depend on, because there's so many of us.
Right.
We depend on packaged things.
For sure.
Massive fields of the same crop that's fertilized and pesticide and everything, because otherwise the whole system breaks down.
Right.
So we either starve or we go out in the woods and forage, but enough of us go out in the woods and forage and we all die because we're starving.
Yeah, I think the middle of the road is local food sources. Like it's taking it, and this is a whole other discussion, but it's taking it away from that monoculture. We're all used to seeing XYZ in the grocery store and transitioning to more like local food systems where we would have to change our mindset of eggs are not always in season. Avocados are not always in season. Bananas are not always in season. Broccoli's not always in season. And there are some things that, it'd be great to always have, but reducing the reliance on the same foods all year round and figuring out what's seasonal in your area and getting it from like farmers markets and stuff. So that's like a middle road where it's not foraging and it's not huge monocultures. If you're getting it from a local farm, that does things maybe a little different.
How do you get 7.2 billion people to change and to be able to afford farmers markets, which are usually
too expensive? Yeah, that is a great question for the next episode of something else. We're
here to talk about books.
We're here to talk about
not solve
books.
Food problems.
Right, but that is a big problem to solve. Is how do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nihilism in me, though, says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we as an individual do.
We need cultural change.
Our consciousness is made up of our experiences, and so if we decide that food is important enough for us to forage or to go to the farmer's market, then that's the action we take. We can't control anybody else.
Right. But if I'm saying it doesn't have to be farmers markets, but if grocery stores carried more local in-season things,
You'd
like
be
a
surprised
bigger
how much
local.
of the produce section is local.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the peppers and stuff are from Mexico.
Right.
Which is kind of local.
Yeah, close.
Yeah, they're just a little bit south.
Super close.
When you put dead dinosaurs in a truck, everything is local.
Well, and then how do you meet your food needs? It's just a very complicated thing to solve, which we're not going to solve on this podcast.
I think we've solved it.
Yeah. Done.
Katie and Jake for president.
Oh, God.
What's the election? 2020 now.
2020 now. What? Oh,
Fixing
God.
food, one cover at a time.
Do we have anything else to talk about this time? I've seen you flip through it.
It's cute.
Isn't it?
Super cute. I
He likes boats.
I like how he draws stick figures. He likes boats?
Yeah, that's why I thought you might like it.
David, can you reach out to us? I think we're going to be friends.
I don't think he lives far away if he's still in Victoria.
Because I like boats. I don't know if you know this about me, David. We just started our relationship.
Just now.
But boats are one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So please reach out.
Please.
Please. Please. I like your art. I like boats.
Well, I think I've covered all that I'm going to cover in that book. I could pick out certain drawings I really loved or something, but I don't know. I think this kind of writing and journaling is really cool and important.
I think it's cool too because it's his own perspective.
Yeah.
Genuinely his own perspective.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a research paper, right?
Right.
He even talks about different kinds of lures.
And draws them.
And draws them.
There's also these, what are they called? They're like Japanese, he calls them Japanese, they're not buoys, they might be buoys. They're like these glass buoys or something that are really like they don't make them anymore. And he loves them so much, and so he put a bunch of them in the book, and there's like 50 something of them.
Oh wow!
And he says, "See if you can find them all."
Oh, it's the glass ball with the rope around it?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice.
What are those called?
I don't know.
Okay, I can't remember.
But they're nice.
They're nice. They're in that book too. In full color.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What's our next book, Katie?
It's your book.
Yes.
Olivetti.
Olivetti.
By...
A book about a typewriter.
Oh, it's all coming together.
Yep.
I wanted to read that book. Dang.
Yeah, it's a really great one. So that'll be the next episode, is a book about a typewriter.
Cool. Are we done?
Yep.
Okay.
Where the fuck is my phone?
Bye. We're good at this today. Jake, do you want to say bye, or you just
Bye.
done?